Good morning. Welcome to Irvine United Congregational Church on this Fat Sunday. Hey! It is going to be a great day, so I am so glad that you have joined our proud, open, and affirming, just, peace, global missions, creation, justice, progressive Christian congregation of the United Church of Christ. Here we strive to be a multicultural, multi-generational community that is ever expanding our understanding and our act of welcome as we seek justice, share love, and live with joy together in community. So it's going to be a joyful day today. I don't know if you're excited, but I'm excited. You excited? Hey, are you guys excited? All right. Well, not everybody celebrates Fat Sunday. We'll talk more about why, but I'm always up for a celebration. And we'll talk about it a little bit later. It does have religious roots, actually, roots that we co-opted from the Greco-Roman tradition and our Jewish cousins, but Christian roots nonetheless. This is the last Sunday of the season of Epiphany, which means that Ash Wednesday is only a couple of days away. Be sure to join us right here at 7 p.m. I do know that that is Valentine's Day. Oh, here we go. And while some of my colleagues have really embraced the shared holidays with some cheesy memes to advertise, like roses are red, violets are blue, when you're dead, God will still love you. Or this one, you are sweet, but repentance is sweeter. Notice the conversation hearts in the background, dust to dust. Remember, you are dust. And a personal favorite, hey girl, let's contemplate our mortality together. That said, you can put that away. We are going to have a traditional Ash Wednesday service here. That is, if anything we do is traditional at IUCC. But we're going to squeeze all of the fun and all of the laughter and all of the joy in today's service so that we can come to the holy day on Wednesday with a sense of reverence and reflection. In addition to the 7 p.m. service, we will also have a noon, that's kind of fun, drive-through ashes. And really what that is an opportunity for you to come by. I'll be outside. I'll offer you the imposition of ashes and a prayer. And then you'll be on your way. But we'll have this intimate time to reflect, again, on our mortality, our faith, and our life's journey. But until then, we will celebrate with the joy of Fat Sunday, complete with amazing music, direct from Nolans, right? It's the Bourbon Street Dixie Band. Yeah. Hey! I think they're local, but they are with our own David Carruthers. It's his friends and band, and they're here to celebrate some really fun music with us. We are so glad to have you, and we just can't wait to march around and dance around and have some fun, right, church? Yeah. All right, so, and of course, what is Mardi Gras without good food? Be sure to join us after the service because, sorry, there's no alcohol at this one, but there will be alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages at Friday night's Broken Hearts Bingo, but that's a different kind of party. After church, our own Alex Engel has been baking all week long to bring us some sweet king's cake, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later too, but you won't want to miss out on that fun. So welcome to the band. Welcome to all of you. We're so glad that you're here. If you're watching online, thanks for tuning in. If you're a visitor here for the first time, we're really glad to welcome you, and we hope that you feel the welcome of this congregation, the joy, the love, and the heart of the people that are gathered here today and every Sunday. If you are a visitor, we have some green cards that are available at our welcome table that are right outside the narthex. And if you happen to be online, or if you prefer to go online, you can just head to our website, surf around there, check us out. But at iucc.org/visitor, you can tell us a little bit more about yourself and we can reach back out to you and properly welcome you. We are a Green Faith Church, and as a Green Faith Church, we no longer print paper bulletins. But if you're the type of person who likes to follow along and see what's next, you can just pull out your phone right here and grab that QR code and download the bulletin that way. You can follow along. Otherwise, we will lead you through the service. Everything you need to know will be on the screens. When to stand, when to sit will be led by our director and others, so you'll know exactly what to do. And if you are here in person and you have a little challenge hearing, we do have some devices that are available at our tech booth, and Donnie would be more than happy to get you one of those. There is a lot happening at IUCC. There always is. In addition to today being Fat Sunday, I think there's something else going on this afternoon. I just can't remember what it is. Oh, it's Super Bowl. That means you bring your soup. That's what it is. You bring your soup to church, and our kids are collecting those for those who are hungry. No, I know there's something else. Taylor's boyfriend is going to be doing something at some point at Usher's concert. Okay, I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. I know. Thank you for being here, and thank you for participating in the kids' Super Bowl caring opportunity to share for those who are in need of food. So there are a soup can station out there. If perhaps you forgot and want to stop by this week, they'll be happy to take that and share it with those who are in need. That's going straight to our friends at Families Forward. Please do check out our website to see what else is happening today. We have, right after the first service, our forum, our election forum, which is always a really important time for us to understand what is happening in our state and our local community. And we are so lucky to have our own Keith Boyum, who is right behind me here, who is a retired Cal State Fullerton professor of politics, and he always takes the time to break down the ballot for us. Of course, we don't touch candidates, but he will look at the proposition and any other initiatives that are on the ballot for our March 5th election. You should have all received something in your home and be ready to vote, because it truly is one of the most powerful opportunities we have to make a difference in our communities, locally, in our state, and in our nation. Of course, I mentioned our Broken Hearts Bingo this Friday. It's a really fun time, and we hope that you might consider joining us. It's a great opportunity for us to do outreach. We've met a lot of people in the community who might not necessarily be church people, but they like to have fun, they enjoy bingo, and I think they like a drag show too. So if you want to join us for that, it's a really wonderful way for us to witness to inclusion as well as raise funds for our church. But it sells out fast. I don't know how we're doing, but I think, Craig, are we almost sold out? 10 tickets left. Get yours now. Okay, and now I just want to kind of settle us down for a tradition that is so very important to the life of our community. We have a beautiful prayer shawl ministry, and that's a way for us to connect with anyone who's on our prayer list in our community who's going through something at a time. And today we have just one small pocket shawl, and it's actually for the Reverend Dr. Jerry Von Togge, who is with us this morning. He's actually going to be leading us in prayer, but we're going to pray for you too, dear Jerry. And so as you pass this around, hold it, bring your loving, warm thoughts and healing thoughts to Jerry as he discerns his next step in a health journey, which we'll let you share about that one-on-one with folks. So thank you very much. That'll come through our congregation, and you can take the time to share the love. So to all of you, thank you so much for being here on this day of celebration. Do join us on Wednesday and next week as we begin the season of Lent and a new series called Wandering Heart. Pastor Craig will be at the pulpit to begin the series, and we hope that you will be intentional, joining us week after week as we explore the life of the disciple Peter and his journey with Jesus, which we think undoubtedly mirrors ours. May you experience the joy of our God in community, in this sacred space, with these fun-loving people who comfort one another, who laugh together, who sing and celebrate. Welcome to IUCC.
Good morning. My name is Renee Boyam, and I'm going to be your worship leader this morning. And as Sarah mentioned, we've much to celebrate. It's Fat Sunday. Happy Chinese New Year. Those who love football, as Sarah mentioned, get to watch this game this afternoon. And for those who love Valentine's Day is coming up. So there's a lot to celebrate, and we hope you'll enjoy it. Please join me now in the call to worship that's found on the digital program or on the screens. March on in, you saints, one and all. In the color green, we find the symbol of justice, a call to cultivate a world where righteousness and equality flow like a river. In justice, find our purpose. In bringing peace to promise of the world transformed. The color gold speaks to the essence of our faith, a comfort and a challenge, a practice and a steady companion, the light that illuminates our way. As we bask in the golden glow of this day, let our faith be a beacon, guiding us through the challenges and illuminating the path towards a more compassionate and inclusive world. The regal color purple represents the power that resides within us, not the power that dominates, but the power that empowers and uplifts and transforms. Let us embrace this royal hue with humility, recognizing that true power is found in service and love. In power, we discover our potential. In purple, we see the royalty of our shared humanity. Together in the dance of green, gold, and purple, let us celebrate with joy, and in our celebration, may justice, faith, and power weave together, creating a tapestry of love that transcends all boundaries.
Celebrate joy. Good morning, church. This morning we sing together Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. And as we continue this celebration, I ask that we also remember the justice, the faith, and the power of the enslaved people who originated this song. And remember that it is not just a cry for salvation in the Christian sense, but a cry for salvation from the struggles that they experienced in the time that they wrote this song as a community.
one.
Laissez le bon temps couler. Let the good times roll. Hey kids, we are back for another episode of Fresh Word on this Fat Sunday, when we celebrate Mardi Gras. We're getting our party on and eating good food before the season of Lent. And you know who had a good time recently? The Scouts. They just had their district dinner themed after Mardi Gras, and this is what they did. Take it away, Scouts. Here's a quick history of Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is actually a French term which means Fat Tuesday. It dates back thousands of years, originating from pagan celebrations of food and drinking. Then at one point, Christians thought, hey, that's a great idea, and they incorporated it into their own traditions, which is how you now have Mardi Gras right before Lent. In the US, Mardi Gras was brought over to Louisiana by the French because Louisiana actually used to be ruled over by the French before they handed it over to us Americans. Here's a fun fact. Louisiana was named after King Louis XVI of France. The parades, the gold, the purple, the green colors, the beads, the costumes, Mardi Gras is pure joy. Oh, speaking of parades, looks like there's one happening behind me right now. You know, I'm gonna go see if I can worm my way up to the front row and get a better view. Until next time, keep it fresh, let the good times roll.
Time for Sunday school.
Trust
and never doubt, Jesus will surely bring you out. He will fail me yet.
I know God is able to deliver in time of storm. I know that He'll keep you safe from all earthly harm. One day when my weary soul is at rest, I'm coming home to be forever blessed.
I will sing of the mercy every day, every hour.
no matter what the test.
Didn't my God deliver Moses from King Pharaoh? And didn't He cool the fiery furnace for Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? When I think of what my God can do, He delivered Daniel, I know He will deliver you. never failed me yet. He never failed, he never failed, he never failed, he never failed me yet. He's never failed me yet, he's never failed me yet, he's never failed me yet, he's never failed me yet. He's never failed me yet. Trust.
Let's sing together as we come into prayer together. Holy Spirit, come to us. 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 Oh, come, Holy Spirit, be in our hearts, fill our minds with love. Holy Spirit, come to us. Holy Spirit, come to us. Holy Spirit, come to us. Come to us. Oh, come to us.
Happy Fat Sunday. Pardon my voice, it's not the best. Bear with me. Today is Stephen Ministry Sunday. Those of us who have been trained as Stephen ministers have learned to listen. And 22 years as a psychotherapist did not train me to listen like Stephen Ministry did. Now, this is not psychotherapy. It's somebody to be with you in the hard times. Somebody to talk to who really knows how to listen, which few people know how to do. Now, we're going to have, after the worship service, there'll be Cheryl and Janet will be available. I'll be available. Other Stephen ministers, if you'd like more information or would like a prayer said, think about if you're going through a difficult time, you might want a Stephen minister. Please join me in prayer. What?
Where will the Stephen ministers be after the service?
They'll be right here. Yes, right here. Thank you. Thank you. A little help from my friends, yes. All righty. That being said and done, please join me in prayer. On this Fat Sunday, we celebrate the spirit of Mardi Gras with the colors purple and green and gold. God, infuse us with joy and gladness. May the Mardi Gras celebration reflect our response to all that God has given to us with such graciousness. We are truly fortunate. Psalm 150 says, "Praise him with tambourine and dance. Praise him with strings and pipes. Praise him with clanging cymbals. Praise him with loud clanging cymbals. Let everything that breathes praise the Lord." God, we come to you this morning with all of our wants and needs. Some of us are in pain, some of us are struggling and overwhelmed. Help us to get our thinking straight, to get past our blind spots in order to see things more clearly. Help us to make decisions with a healthy balance of heart and mind. Give us the courage to make the tough decisions. Give us strength when we feel weak. Help us to forgive ourselves for the wrongs that we have committed, for the mistakes we have made, for the times that we've let people down. Free us from guilt, which is psychological wheel spinning. Help us to change our negative thinking to positive thinking. Help us to stay away from people who embrace negativity, who are toxic, and to walk away from toxic relationships that are destructive of the human spirit. Help us, God, to keep on going in the hard times, putting one foot in front of the other. Help us to bounce back from adversity, and help us, God, to keep our values and ethics in times of temptation. God, enable us to get beyond ourselves, beyond our own self-concerns, to be concerned about others. Touch our hearts and minds, making us racial allies. Make us allies and advocates for those in the LGBTQ+ community. Help us to know what it means to love our neighbor. Now, and enable us, God, above all, to be a community that is growing in love and healing. May our church continue to be a sanctuary for all, a beacon light on a hill in Orange County, radiating the light of diversity, equity, and inclusion, where all are truly welcome. On our screens will appear the names of those who have asked to be on our prayer list. They've asked the Congregational Care Ministry. That and the Stephen Ministry do a wonderful job of showing how much we love each person in the congregation. Let's keep them in our hearts and minds as their names appear, as well as those for others that we have concern. Please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Creator, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
We are grateful this morning for the many gifts, talents, and contributions which sustain our community. If your heart is suggesting a financial contribution, you may drop an offering in the plate this morning, or you can visit our website at iucc.org/giving. You can mail a check to 4915 Alton Parkway, Irvine, California, 92604, or an electric payment can be sent through Zelle, and you can also donate by texting. Simply text the amount you wish to give to 949-776-3663 and follow the prompt. At this time, I'd like to invite our deacons to come forward to assist with our offering. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for these generous gifts. As we approach the season of Lent, let us open our hearts and minds to reflection and to the peace that passes all understanding. Amen. Today's scripture is found in the book of Luke, chapter 14, verses 12 through 24. He said also to the one who had invited him, "When you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or your rich neighbors, in case they may invite you in return, and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you, for you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous." One of the dinner guests, on hearing this, said to him, Blessed is anyone who will eat bread in the kingdom of God. And then Jesus said to him, someone gave a great dinner and invited many. At the time for the dinner, he sent his slave to say those who had been invited, come, for everything is ready now. But they all alike began to make excuses. The first one said to him, I bought a piece of land and I must go out and see it. Please accept my regrets. Another said, I have bought 5 yoke of oxen and I'm going to try them out. Please accept my regrets. Another said, I have just been married and therefore I cannot come. So the slave returned and reported this to his master. And then the owner of the house became angry, and he said to his slave, go out at once into the streets and lanes of the town and bring in the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame. And the slave said, sir, what you ordered has been done, and there is still room. And then the master said to the slave, go out into the roads and lanes and compel people to come in, so that my house may be filled. For I tell you, none of those who were invited will taste my dinner.
Bright colors, beads, music, dancing, laughter, booze, masks, revelry, fun, food, fried food, parades, coins, jesters, coconuts, feathers, throws, masquerade balls, dads, smiles, monarchs of merriment, king for the day, crazy costumes, dancing the street, parties, parties, parties. Did I miss anything? It's one big party that lasts and lasts and lasts. I suppose it's easy for us, with some distance, to think about Mardi Gras as just a real, drunken fest that happens with all these crazy people in the streets showing a little too much skin. In many ways, it is a festival of absurdity. But actually, this festival is deeply rooted within religious traditions. We call it Mardi Gras, as Dustin shared with us. That's translated from the French, which means Fat Tuesday. And it's a day, of course, the tradition has us get all of the fat out of the house and consume it before Lent begins the following day on Ash Wednesday. You may have also heard it referred to as Carnival, right? In Brazil, it's their biggest tourist attraction. It turns out 70% of the nation's tourism comes during the week of Carnival. Carnival itself comes from the Latin word, perhaps best translated as farewell to the flesh or farewell to meat. Both of those in so many ways encompass what Carnival is all about, this festival of the flesh, the feast of all feasts. Its origins in our Christian calendar, as Dustin said, come as this hybrid from our Jewish tradition and, of course, our Greco-Roman ancestry. Our Jewish cousins, we've talked before, they celebrate the festival of, anybody know it? Oh, church. It's the festival of Purim, right? And Purim occurs at about the same time as Mardi Gras. It celebrates the salvation of the Jewish people from Haman's plot to destroy them in the book of Esther. And the Feast of Purim, just like Carnival or Mardi Gras, is all about having fun. And people dress up in costumes, and they eat food, and they drink wine, and they just enjoy life. Now, Mardi Gras or Carnival comes before our fasting, but in the Jewish tradition, they fast the day before Purim to commemorate Esther's fasting as she prayed to God to save their people. You remember the story, though, right? We'll do it again later, just to remind ourselves. We're not going to do it today. But there was a similar festival that was rooted in a different part of the world, similar area, that was celebrated 3,500 years ago as the Greek spring fertility celebration. Once it got into Roman hands, it was renamed Lupercalia in honor of Lupercus, who is the pastoral god, And during this time, it was pretty crazy. You know, those Romans, they were something else. So this was like this circus-like orgy that occurred in mid-February in Rome. And people were given license to do whatever they wanted under the guise of their face masks. So you wouldn't know who they were, right? Their identities were hidden. And that's when gods like Dionysus, you remember Dionysus, right? Or sometimes you call him Bacchus. He is the god of wine. And Craig? That's right, winemaking, fertility, and theater. And then you get Pan with his pan flute, right? And he's dancing. They were all associated with this festival. So there was drinking and dancing and this masked revelry and lots of music. So, of course, when Christianity became the religion of the empire, these popular festivals weren't just going to stop, right? You can't just stop them. So they underwent a conversion as well. Rather than forcing them to stop celebrating, which we know you couldn't do, they just changed the names and changed the meanings. So we're all pretty familiar. Saturnalia became Christmas. Ostra became Easter, and so on and so on and so on. So now we have today's celebration, which is really rooted in antiquity, embedded in symbolism, and even symbolism of our own faith. So it's a reminder for us to think about our Jewish heritage and read that with our Western European roots. There's still a tension of that licentiousness that reminds us of Dionysus and the Bacchanalia, along with that constant foreshadowing we see of the penitence of Lent right on our horizon. So even though we usually refer to this as Mardi Gras, that translation from French, Fat Tuesday, it's pretty obvious that today is Sunday. So that's why here at IUCC we are celebrating Fat Sunday. And we also recognize that it was never just a one-day affair. It really was throughout a season. And that season of Carnival coincides with our Christian season, since we pretty much just usurped it from our pagan roots, which we call the season of Epiphany. Right? You're all with me here. Más o menos. I mean, we're like this very low church, but here we are learning what we do. So we celebrated Epiphany in January, call it 12th night sometimes. And if you remember, we celebrated it with Rosca del Reyes, and whoever got the baby was supposed to throw a party. So who got the baby? Who? Was it you? Chris got a baby. I see someone pointing. Who got it? Who got it? Who are you? Susie, did you throw a party? You're responsible after church. Susie and Chris are hosting us post-service in a really fabulous celebration. I know. I was really worried, though, because you might remember that we actually used the Rosca del Reyes in our communion that Sunday. So I kept worrying that somebody would, choke on the holy baby during the Holy Communion. But thank you to Susie and Chris for hosting us later. Actually, like I said, our resident baker, Alex Engel, has been working all week long. He learned how to bake King's cake for us 3 years ago, and now he makes it his tradition to stock us up on this important specialty and necessity of the day. So you guys get a chance to kind of host us with Alex, okay? Or there's still 2 days left. Party at Susie's. Susie and Paul's house party? Super Bowl party? All right, we're coming over. Because, of course, this is the idea that you party throughout the season of Epiphany. Oh, Matt's coming. And so in places of New Orleans, it's not just a single-day celebration. The parties, they get bigger and bigger, and ultimately comes to the climax on that Fat Tuesday, that big Mardi Gras party. That's the final night when you got to get all the fat out, all the good stuff, all the alcohol too. Everything has to go before the season of Lent begins. Now, you might also be familiar, and I think we've talked about it before, that sometimes you hear a different name for that Tuesday before Ash Wednesday. Anybody know of that? Any Brits in the house? Shrove Tuesday. This is for the more respectable among us. The word shrove comes from the word shrive, which is to confess. So that then becomes the day of confession. It's a little less fun, but there are pancakes involved. So this is the day to confess, to let go of all that stuff so that you can have all that self-examination and be ready for the day of penitence, which comes in Ash Wednesday. So it's usually heard in English observations, but like I said, not only do they confess, but they usually also eat pancakes. You might remember, I bet you Shanti will, we actually did a pancake run on Fat Sunday a couple of years ago. You remember that? Flipping our pancakes? Yes? Okay. She's like, I do, kind of, maybe. I'm not sure. But pancakes get made, and so you always have to have pancakes on Shrove Tuesday or Fat Tuesday, especially if you're not having a party. Just at least go home and make breakfast for dinner. It's good. My kids love it. Smother on all the butter. At least get rid of all the good butter. And that meant that they got rid of everything that was good because during Lent, it was a time of fasting. And before the days of refrigerators and modern times, people really did have to get rid of everything. You couldn't save anything for later. So they got rid of everything, and they fasted through all of meat. Remember the farewell to flesh? So they gave up meat, so they gave up everything. And then you might remember, many of you may have grown up with fish on Fridays. You remember that? I mean, McDonald's even had their filet of fish on Fridays. So you could get it really during its height of the day, but back in the day, it was a whole season of fasting. You had those 6 weeks of Lent, and people had to get everything out so that they could properly fast. So get all the fat out of the house, hence this Fat Tuesday. I like all the fun activities that are affiliated with both of them. I did talk about the pancake run. I think I've shared this before. When we did our own pancake run, there's this place only in Buckinghamshire. Has anybody been there? No. Okay, it has been held since 1445. The contestants, which are traditionally women, carry a frying pan and they race over a 415-yard course to the finish line. This is like more exciting than football. And the rules are really strict, okay? The contestants have to toss their pancakes at both the start and the finish, as well as wear an apron and a scarf. Now, traditionally, when the men want to participate, they have to dress up like a housewife. What's a housewife? And they would wear their aprons and bandanas. And then the race is followed by a church service. So I think we can always find a way to bring it back to religion. RuPaul was not the first, then, to come up with the drag race. It actually started in the church first. So I think our drag queen bingos aren't really all that bold. We're just reaching back into history. Because the church wasn't always so stuffy. And I am so glad that we get to embrace this fun side of our faith, along with our Jewish and our Greco-Roman history, because it's true that our faith can be fun. Faith is fun. And if it's not, then, God, why would anyone want to participate in church? If it was always hard and dirgy and just depressing about the stuff we have to do, not the stuff that we get to do together. There's this wonderful symbolism, whether it's the pancakes and drag queens and masquerades, parties and parades, this symbolism has meaning. We talked about the Mardi Gras colors this day. You've heard it, we're decorated the nines with them. But if you didn't know it before, hopefully you know it now. You heard the colors mean green, which stands for faith, gold for power, and purple for justice. Did I get that right? I think so. I think I might have switched it. Sorry. Gold is for, I just messed it all up. Green is justice. Gold is faith. Purple is power. Oh, man. I was contradicting myself from the call to worship till now. You might not have ever known. But anyhow, thank you. So the coins, we got some coins over here. They're called doubloons. And I have a whole bunch of them here, these guys here. What'd you guys do with my stuff? These are the doubloons. Oops, there goes my. I'll get it. So the doubloons often link their history to the Middle Ages, and the rich would throw the coins to the poor while they were traveling through the countryside. They just like throw them out. Oh, shoot, that didn't get you, but thank goodness you didn't get hurt. But the history of the beads here doesn't extend that long. It's actually only into the early 20th century. They were made of glass, though, in their beginnings, and they were of much higher quality than the stuff that we get nowadays. They were to represent good luck, and it's often been associated with this show and tell that we see over there. That's kind of like a Girls Gone Wild thing. But it actually could be associated with church, right? Because there's luck involved. And I think maybe it's because of what we hear that we just kind of push this holy day or this holy experience away for people to be rowdy. But I think there really is something to this celebration, because there's nothing wrong with a good party. There's nothing wrong with dancing and singing and celebrating, even masquerading as somebody else for a while. And we know that if anybody loved a good party, it was Jesus. Do you remember his first miracle in the Gospel of John? Craig does. Louder, sir. Water and wine. Thank you, Keith. You can tell the people that go to Bible study. Good job. Well, you don't always go to Bible study. But anyhow, Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine at a wedding. In those days, just like most of these days, the best wedding receptions were the ones that had the open bars. And at this wedding, the wine ran out early, just as the party was really getting started. And it's every bride's nightmare. Like, what do you do now? The party hasn't even gone on. They didn't plan accordingly. So before anybody could fret too much, Mary tells Jesus to do something, fix it, help him, get the wine. And Jesus immediately turns water into wine, and everybody's amazed because, not so much that he did the miracle, but because the bride and groom left the best wine for last, because Jesus made the best wine. Usually you'd give them the good stuff in the beginning, and then it would get worse and worse as the evening went on, right? So that's what they loved, that it tasted better than anything else. And then, of course, we think about the feeding of the multitude. It's really a party, if you think about it. You know, we think about it as this desperation with everybody hungry and flocking to Jesus to hear him speak. But instead of Jesus sending everyone home hungry, like the disciples wanted to do, Jesus said, no, stay. It's a party. There's enough for everybody. Stay. Because Jesus ensured that the festivities could go on. And finally, we think about the story that we shared today, where there was a party to be held and nobody would come. And so, in this parable, we see that the owner, the master, decides to get so angry at the invitees because they were all too busy. One was working too much. One had just gotten married. Sorry, Joan, we're flipping all the way through here. We got time issues on our hands. She's following along. And so he said, gather up everybody. Bring them in. The party is for the people who never get invited. At this party, everyone is invited. And so he invites everyone, those who had disabilities, those who were poor, those who were friendless and sick and dirty, and said, this is a party. And then when there was still room after inviting everybody else, he said, okay, let's take the party to the street. And I could just imagine all these people just going out into the street, and they've got their wine and this feast of rich foods, and they're partying in the streets. People who had never been invited before were partying in the streets. It's biblical. Parties in the streets. So bring the breads, because we're the lucky ones, and share the good fortune. Toss out a coin, I don't have them over here, to your sister and your brother. And when a lost one is found, rejoice in thanksgiving. Throw a bead. And I can hear throw me something, mister. That's what they say. Throw me something, Rev.
Throw me something, Rev.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on. It's a party. Party at the church. Oh, Donnie, I can't. I did play softball. There you go. Hey, let's get over here. Woo! Okay. Sorry, that's a nobody. There you go, Heaps. And we celebrate because Jesus has thrown a party. And the gifts of God are ours for the taking, ours for the sharing. So dance the dance divine, sing the songs of rejoicing, drink of the cup and the bread or pancakes and king's cake. Foods of heaven have been prepared for you, for us. For Jesus just keeps multiplying the joy. He feeds us with the stuff of the Spirit so that we can go out and feed with the food for the body, to do the work of justice that we have been called to do and ensure that everybody gets an invite to the party. So friends, the party starts here, but it's up to us to take it to the streets. And with that, you guys ready? Okay. And now, brothers and sisters, siblings in Christ, go out into the world with all of its weights and all of its demands, all of the heartache and all of the injustice, and live your faith. Share the power, seek justice, and celebrate. Take it to the streets to share the love, the riches, the joy. So come on, all you saints. You marched it in. Let's march it out. Amen.